Alright guys, Hellspawn here again with another review for you. These are more action figures. These are actually the Marvel Select figures from the Iron Man 2 movie. War Machine, of course, on the right, and the Mark 6 Iron Man suit on the left. These are the normal editions that you can find at comic book shops and stores around your area, hopefully. There is another one. It's the Mark 4 suit. That is a Borders Books exclusive. So if you guys are looking to pick up the Mark IV suit, there is one there. It's really cool. I've actually seen it before, but you can only get it at Borders. So if you can find a Borders Books, I'm sure you could pick one up there. They're $19.99 a piece, and I think you may be able to order it from Borders Books too. If you give them a phone call, they may be able to ship it out to you. I looked on their website and I didn't see it there, so you would actually have to call. Other than that, pretty cool figures. They're, I'd say, about 8 inches tall. Give you a size reference. I'm trying to look for something here. Really neat. Paint jobs are good, but I wouldn't say the best. I hate to say it, but I almost like the paint jobs on the 6-inch figures better with the War Machine, but the Mark 6, his paint job is just a lot better. It's actually that chrome finished paint. It's really cool. It's actually really great paint job. Looks really good. The only qualm I had with that is that the Mark 6's eyes aren't painted in. So you've got this gold mask and there's absolutely no detail to it because there's no paint on it whatsoever. I am going to go in there and repaint the eyes shortly, so when I'm done, it will have the bluish eyes to it. Maybe something you want to do. Both of their masks are removable. It does have pretty decent likenesses of the actors underneath. And they come with the display bases that you can see there. Just as a size reference, this is one of the 6-inch figures from Walmart right there. So, you know, it's probably, they call them 8-inch figures, but I'm sure they're probably about 7.5, 7 3/4, something like that. Anyways, they sell for, like I said, about $19.99. You can get them at most comic book shops and stuff like that. If you see them, pick them up. I would probably rate both of these at 9 out of 10s. The only problem I can find with the Mark 6 was the eyes. And the War Machine, the only thing I have a little bit of an issue about, and let me zoom in on it here for you. If you look at his head, it almost looks a little odd. Maybe not now, but if you look at it in real life, it almost looks like the head is a little tall and maybe a little skinny. Maybe it almost looks like maybe it shouldn't be quite as tall height-wise. It should have been squashed down a little bit more, kind of like the Mark 6 over here. You can see it's a little squatter, a little wider, and then that one's a little bit tall and a little bit skinnier. So, a minor thing, but it definitely is something that caught my eye right away as like, wow, that looks a little weird. The bases that they come on, I'm assuming this one is supposed to be Stark Industries. If you look at this one here on the War Machine, this one actually says Hammer on the back, so it is for the Hammer company, since that's who manufactured them. I'll go ahead and show you the figures. I'll give you a little up close here so you can check them out. The detail's really good on them. The armor looks great. The paint job is more of a metallic color, where in the movie and also with the 6-inch figure from Walmart, I think it's a little more true to form to have the matte finish, but it still looks really good. And then there's the back. It also would have been nice to have had maybe a bullet belt coming out of the minigun. That would have been cool. All in all, I would pick them up. Obviously, I did, but if I was you and you're an Iron Man fan, or especially War Machine fan, I would definitely pick them up. The only other thing that I don't really like about these, that I do like about the Walmart ones, is if you look on the shoulder pads there, and then if you look like up underneath, all the little emblems and numbers and serial numbers, and like especially up there on the top of the head, oops, sorry about that, you see just like little red triangles and stuff. That's all painted on there and done really well. On this one, there really isn't anything at all. There's no paint done. There's no numbers on any of the shoulder pads. It's pretty much just a gray and silver paint job, and that's it. I'll go ahead and pull the mask off here for you if I can. They're really tight fitting. It came off good. As you can see, Don Cheadle's likeness right there is actually pretty decent. I was a little surprised to see that good of a likeness on a action figure, but the mask does come off. It's right there, and it's got these two little posts in the back, as you can see right there, that can either go into this hole for the mask to be on the face, or you can even put them up here on the top, which I'll go ahead and do that. And then if you put them in the top there, you can see it looks like the mask is slid up into a standby position. When you put them back in, I know a couple people that were complaining because it didn't seal up all the way. They would push it on, it wouldn't go all the way in. You really got to put a lot of force on the two posts and slide them all the way back into place, but if you do that, as you can see, it actually seals on there pretty good, and there's no issues whatsoever. They do stand up on their own, so you don't necessarily have to display them with the base. The posability is kind of iffy on these things. They don't pose very well. The legs don't move. The hip joints are the biggest peeve of mine. They don't move very well on the hips. The other thing that I don't like is if you look at the Mark 6, the Mark 6, when the arms move, it's on this ball joint, so the arm will actually move all around, and then you can move it up and down on that little on the little pivot. Let's see here, you notice it more like this. You can move it actually in this direction. That posability is really good. The shoulder pads do just pop off, so if they fall off, just make sure you put them back on again so you don't lose them. The one thing I don't like about the War Machine, though, is if you were to try and pose it in this type of direction like you did with the Iron Man, the whole arm pops out. There's no posability like laterally with this thing. It's just one single ball joint right there that goes into a joint on the side of the figure. It's easy enough to just pop back in, but pretty much the only thing the arm does is rotate this way, and it rotates this way. You can't really push it out to kind of give them that sideways pose like I did here on this one. So all in all, 8 out of 10 on this one. I would definitely prefer if this were just a bigger version of the Walmart version, but it's not, and it won't be, but it is cool for what it is. So we'll put him over there, and now the Mark 6, a little bit different, like I said. The posability on this one is better. I'd give the posability on the War Machine a 5.5. This one I'd probably put at like a 7. Again, the hips, they kind of like rotate a little bit like this at the hip, and the leg turns, but it doesn't like, you can't like open them up, and they don't really swing forward or backward like this, and it's a little odd. So when you pose them, pretty much the only way you can pose them is like that with his feet together. I prefer to have them kind of like, you know, standing a little more of a wider stance with one knee bent a little bit or something like that, and you're really not going to get that with this one. This one comes with 2 different hands, like I said, one open, one closed. I've got one closed, and I've got one open here to kind of give them that forward stance with the hand up. They do rotate at the wrist, so it's like a ball joint where it actually rotates at the wrist, and they do rotate at the elbow, the wrist, the bicep, and the shoulder joint rotates as well. The shoulder pads are separate, like you saw the one popped off. It's kind of nice, so if you want to lift the arm up, it does move with it, so you get a full range of motion. Again, the head comes off of this one as well, the mask rather, so I'll go ahead and see if I can pull this off. And the Robert Downey Jr. likeness is nowhere near as good as the Don Cheadle one, if you ask me, but it's still decent for what it is. Again, this one has the posts, and I just dropped it. This one has the posts on the back of the head, so you can just put this in here like that in the standby mode, or again, when you put this one on the face, just make sure you really push it in there good, or else it won't seal all the way. Pretty cool stuff. Like I said, the paint's great. 8 out of 10 on both of them. If you find them, I'd grab one. It would have been nice to see them do something like they did with the last Iron Man figures that they released, where they had like the little display stand where it looked like smoke, and he actually was on there and it looked like he was flying or taking off. But, you know, these little things will do just fine. But anyhow, $19.99. Pick one up if you got them. These are the 8-inch Marvel Select Iron Man, Mark 6, and War Machine action figures.